Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of
Heyo.
Checkpoint. At 10, it's Ryan Rugner Marshall. With me as always, this guy,
Mike One-Way Advantage. Hey,
that guy
high
right
five.
there. We're going to get right into it. Last week, we told you we were going to talk about our favorite villains in video games, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
I think we actually didn't tell them that, but that is what we are going to talk about.
We did not tell you that last week, but we're telling you right now. We're going to get right into it. With Mike,
I'll go first. Yeah, I think today I'll go first because I don't. There's so many good video game villains. I feel like there's so many cool fights. I think you have. So mine are both kind of accomplishment related. So I have two, and I'll be quick. The first one is Dragon Warrior 1, way back on the NES, because that was the very first boss I beat by myself.
Mm-hmm.
In a big video game and a big RPG. And the other one is Ragnaros from World of Warcraft from 10 years ago or whatever, because that was the first big raiding boss I ever beat in an MMO. So
Yeah.
I played a lot of MMOs, but I never played to the end game, and that was a super complicated fight that I helped strategize and whatnot. So it was a really cool accomplishment to beat something of that grandeur.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy to think about how not only is that game still a thing, but with the latest expansion, it's actually still doing really well. It still has numbers behind it. It still has subscriptions. With so many MMOs going to free to play, they've stood the test of time.
they definitely have.
Sidetrack, but still very impressive.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I agree. All right. What are your favorite villains? I know these are going to be good because you always have good things for these kind of topics.
A lot of good things.
Things.
I have one, but I have a few that I want to mention. First and foremost, the first thing I want to mention is Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid. But the only reason I can't truly pick him is because spoilers, if you've actually played through all the entire series, Revolver Ocelot's actually not really a bad guy. He doesn't always do good things, but he's not actually a bad guy. He's been, double agent. He's been in Metal Gear Solid 3, I believe he's a triple agent. That dude is awfully crazy.
I didn't even think of Metal Gear Solid. That's a good one.
Well, there's Liquid Snake, Big Boss in a lot of ways. You could probably argue he's kind of a bad guy. And that's just, again, it's one of my favorite series I've mentioned.
There's a lot of fun bosses in that series.
And then the other one I'm going to mention before I tell you my actual choice is Sephiroth. Just because, and that's kind of like what you said. It was just, I remember, Final Fantasy VII was my first time playing a Final Fantasy game. And I just, it's iconic. I almost didn't want to say it because it's so cliche, but obviously when he kills Aerith, it's just kind of you're what the fuck just
you're so happy to kill him in the end.
I think that might have been the first time I swore as a kid. That shit happens. That sword goes through and it's fucking violent. He drops out of the sky and just pierces through the back and this huge gigantic blade. And I was just what the fuck just happened? Not Aerith. Actually, back then it was probably I probably named her after some girl I thought was hot in my 7th grade class.
That sounds right.
But that's such a it's hard for me to really commit to that one because it is kind of cliche. But it's still obviously it's only cliche because it's it's a villain that's always been great. But
right, because people are obsessed with him.
And Final Fantasy which is my favorite series of all time. It's just there's great characters all over. Kefka is obviously a pretty popular choice.
He's also a good one.
But my actual favorite villain, and unfortunately, for as much as I like him, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, is the Marshal from Red Dead Redemption. Basically, tasks John Marston with taking out his old gang, and then I'm just gonna get into it because this game's been out for a million years. By the end of the game, you do everything that these guys want you to do. You go back home, you're living with your wife and your kid, and you're happy, and he comes with a cavalry and just guns you the fuck down. And for no reason, and it's just so dark and terrible, but it's wonderful all the same.
Right.
And then the thing is that's technically the end of the game, but you basically you get to play then as your son, grown up, and you can actually track that fucking dude down. And I remember when you do, like, it's like there's no cutscene, there's no even mission. It's not even like a mission, I don't think. Actually, it might be a mission, but there's no cutscene or anything. You just like roll up on this fucking like little house like next to water. He's like sitting in a chair fishing or something like that. You just walk up to him and just like shoot him in the head, and that's it. Like, you just killed the dude that killed your dad, and I don't know, it's kind of so bittersweet. And I've always loved him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that game. I mean, it's not my favorite game, but that game's on a whole nother level. That is a fucking masterpiece, which you need to play sometime.
I do. I know the ending now.
Yeah, there you go. So you don't have to play it. That spoiler warning was for you, Mike.
I'm all caught up for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. So those are our favorite villains. Next week, we're going to talk about isometric RPGs, our favorites.
Yeah, that's a good topic.
I mean, it's like you could say RPGs, but like really, you don't.
Yeah, it's a specific.
Yeah, you don't see as many. I mean, the big ones are like Diablo, but there's a lot. We're going to talk all about that. But speaking of villains, I want to talk about. We can talk about it briefly because I know you haven't seen it a lot, but there's a Friday the 13th video game coming out.
Mm-hmm. It's out already.
It might. I mean, unless it's in early access. Yeah, no, I didn't think it was. All right, we're getting confirmation. We have a lot of sources. We're pulling sources right now to get.
I guess maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe it's in. Yeah, maybe it's in early access. I know people are playing it. Like, streamers are playing it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like basically what ended up happening was this was a crowdfunded game. And it had some steam behind it, and I guess it's just kind of blown up even more lately. So now we're getting it on PS4. We're getting it on Xbox One.
The beta's out. Sorry, people are playing the beta.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks awesome. Like, we don't have to get too much into it. But what I do want to talk about is more of the genre of game it is. So it's like a 1v game, similar to Evolve, similar to the canceled Fable Legends game that was coming out.
Yeah.
I know our producer and I sort of have mixed feelings on these games because it's like I feel like it's super easy to fuck up that game. Like, not Friday the 13th specifically, but that type of game.
Right, that one verse. There's another new one that's out where you're like the monster, and there's 4 survivors that are trying to escape, and they have to like start generators. What is that game called?
That's like the game that's like very similar to Friday the 13th. I think that's a PC.
Yeah,
like Dead by Daylight or something like that.
Dead by Daylight, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like these are coming around a lot more now. These types of games.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of it, but there is like those hitches that you can run into. I was like again talking about this before we started the show with our producer, and it's like, if the guy or gal that's playing like the monster or the villain sucks, like, then it's kind of boring. Like, either if the point is to kill him, then it's like you can kill him easily or run away, it's easy. Or on the reverse side of it, if that person playing the monster is like really fucking good, then you have like no chance. I guess my question to you is just like, what are your thoughts on like this game type? Do you think that it fits well? Do you think that it's being utilized correctly?
From what I've seen, it seems to be utilized really pretty good. You're right. It's really, really tough to balance it to the point that, I mean, if somebody's really, really good, then yeah, they are probably just gonna wreck you. But I know Dead by Daylight. I've watched a bit of that game be played, and there was an issue of an infinite, like, you could create an infinite loop where the survivor could always stay just far enough ahead of the killer that no matter what you did, you couldn't chase them down. No matter who you were, there was nothing you could do to catch them in just certain spots, and so they had to adjust that. So there's always going to be tweaks and stuff, but I feel like that's a lot of multiplayer games at this point. Any sort of PvP kind of style, there's going to be some sort of, where people have different abilities and classes, and you have these different skills you can use. You kind of run into that balance problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just yeah. I mean, that you nailed it, and it's like, yeah. Aside from the having to deal with the idea of balancing different skill levels depending on who you're playing as, yeah, just to balancing out the literal abilities, you know, because obviously the one has to have more powerful abilities than the many. I mean, I know from experience playing, you know, I was pretty jazzed on Evolved for a little while there. It got boring. It definitely got boring. But I remember, like, every once in a while, you'd fire up, and I considered myself a pretty good player. Maybe I wasn't elite, but, like, I did well. You know,
Right.
I played the Trapper class, obviously. Anybody that knows me by now would know that would be the class I would play.
Yeah.
Fucking cowboy hat and a revolver, of course. So, and I remember, like, every once in a while, like we would play somebody that was just, like, really fucking good. And it's like, we would be done, like, instantly.
Yeah.
Which, like, I mean, like, you know, props to them for being awesome at the game, but still, it was, like, cool, like, because it's like, you think about it, it's not just, like, you fire in, you die in, like, a minute, and then it's over. It's like, you have to, like, go through matchmaking, right? You gotta, like, select your characters, you gotta, like, wait for it to load, you have to, like...
And then somebody leaves, and so you got to start. You know, you got to start
like,
over.
you know, sometimes, like, getting to that point, actually playing might be, like, 5 or 10 minutes, and that's, like, you die in a minute, you're like, well, fuck, now I have to get the fuck out of the match, and...
I mean, that's an online gaming, you know, problem that you can't really solve. That's not a one versus all problem or anything like that.
Well,
I mean,
like,
you
the
could
point
run
is,
into a
like-
team that's just better than you or
Sure.
something like that in League of Legends or Dota or whatever. So,
That's true.
I mean, that is a problem and it sucks. But you know, with a ranking system and whatnot, you hope to try to separate the cream from the crap a little bit, if
The
possible.
cream from the crap? I never heard that before.
Oh, well,
I don't know what to do.
you learned something today.
You're like a fucking
taught you
Snapple cat,
something.
man. I'm learning shit all day from that.
And so here's the thing. Here's the thing with Evolved too. Is Evolved was a really early adopter of this one versus all. I can't claim that they were the first one. They're the first big one in the modern era that I know of. And Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th have learned a lot. I mean, Evolve learned a lot. They completely revamped their game and re-released it basically to change the dynamics and change kind of the way things worked. So when you're the first one, it's really easy to crap on a game and say, you know, well, this game's no good. They're really bad. And then have Dead by Daylight come around and do a lot of things right. That, you know, with their ranking system, I feel like is really good, and the way their skill trees work are really good. I don't know much about Friday the 13th and how, like, skills and whatnot work, but
Yeah. Looks pretty cool.
so
It seems like,
it's a cool genre.
yeah.
It's a cool adaptation.
There is a video of Friday the 13th. IGN did an IGN first on it. So it was from the perspective of one of the counselors. I want to say there was like 8 to 10 counselors, you know, all humans. Jason obviously also playing as a human, and like, it's pretty cool. Like, the counselors have, like, you know, they can attack Jason and, like, you know, knock him down and have, like, defensive capabilities. Basically, it seems like it's not a 1v all in the sense where it's like you're the counselor's trying to kill Jason and Jason's trying to kill you. You're actually trying to escape whatever location you're in. So what they showed you is Crystal Lake, but there are more locations that I know they're going to be shown. And basically all you do is there's like a checklist of things that you can do to escape, and like one of which is like get into this car, and in order to do that you need to find like the engine, you need to find like the keys, you need to get gas for it. Like,
cool.
But it only seats 4 people, so like that's it. Like 4 people get the fuck out of there. There's still 6 other counselors that need to get out of that match, and I think there's another like 2-seater car. There might be like a boat that seats 2. I think you can like call the cops to come rescue, and that they can take a few people. But like if the cops get there and Jason gets there first, then he can kill the cops, and it looks cool.
That's really cool. I really like that dynamic of only some people can get away. Not everyone can get away in the same exact fashion. You have to, you know,
because then you
like 6 people can't work together to all escape.
Right.
Only 4 of them can get away, or only 2 of them can get away, and now the other 4 are still stuck, or or whatever. The other numbers are still stuck to fend for themselves. So it helps to not overwhelm Jason to where he just can't do anything.
Well, he gets like really powerful abilities. So like one of them that's like you have to kind of suspend disbelief, but like he can actually teleport around the map, which makes sense because if you think about like when you're watching
Yeah.
a movie, you know,
Yeah,
you
he's
see him
everywhere.
somewhere, he like kills somebody, and then that dude is like the next part of the of Camp Crystal. Like he's just there already. So it's like, how the hell is he moving around so fast?
Yeah. Especially when he's always just that stalking walk that he has.
Yeah,
Like,
and
he's not even moving that quickly.
Absolutely. Well, to speak to that, like he actually, when he starts getting around you, like the music starts, playing.
Mhm.
You know, the iconic theme starts playing.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you're like, fuck. Like
That's really
gonna
cool.
make you. If you're playing, that's gonna make you. You're gonna be like, shit. Like this dude, I don't know. It's pitch black. You don't know where the fuck he is, but you know he's right. He's stalking you, and it looks cool. Like I know it could. Those games tend to. They could easily get boring, but I hope that they do enough. And they added a single player. They reached enough funding to add a single player campaign to it. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
going to be in that. So it's a cool game
Another
to look
game.
out for. I'm sure we're going to see
Awesome.
more games in that genre. Do you have any final
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
No, I'm just like I guess yes, but nothing big. Just I'm glad that this is kind of a genre that's taking off, and people are putting work into, and not just kind of trying to rehash what Evolved started with. They, they really want to. They've taken this idea and created something better, and it's a cool, version of player versus player. This one versus all, so I like it.
Were they canceling Evolve servers? Is that a thing? We think it's a thing?
I haven't heard that, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Evolve's kind of fallen off. Dead by Daylight's definitely taken over that genre.
I like
and
how,
then,
wait, here, go back real quick. So he's on Google REP, and he puts Evolve canceled, but the literal top search is, can a Pokemon still evolve after he canceled the evolution? That's
Pokemon's important.
That's way more important than Evolve.
Pokemon is important.
So anyway, we're gonna talk a little bit about Assassin's Creed just came out, the movie.
Yeah.
And so we've talked a little bit on past shows about.
Oh, I need a show of hands in the room of who thought that movie was going to be really good.
All right, now here's the thing.
I think it was both of you.
I don't know.
It was Ryan and Vernon over there thought that it was going to be good.
The thing is I think it had the most potential to be good. I mean, Evolve,
Sure.
It's got Michael Fassbender, Marion Cotillard, Jeremy Irons, all, I think, at least nominated for Academy Awards. Marion Cotillard, I believe, won an Academy Award. Like these are
good actors.
And it's also directed by fucking what's-his-fuck that directed Macbeth. That's like a really good director, and it's just like, I was like, this has to be the one, right? And so, not only is it didn't just do bad. It's getting like really, really, really bad reviews.
So tell me, what do people not like about it? I haven't seen it, and I'm gonna go see Vernon movies.
I haven't read. I don't typically like get too hardcore into reviews until I actually see the movie. I kind of go on to like maybe like the little bullet points of like someone's review, but a lot of what I'm reading is like it's just just incohesive, and it's just like it's really confusing, and it's just like basically I could tell you this right off the bat, like, and this isn't spoilers, this is just like this is in the synopsis. Basically, like Michael Fassbender like dies in the beginning. And then Abstergo, I don't even know if it's Abstergo, but I think it is. Abstergo,
the machine,
revives him, right? Throws him in the fucking weird, like, robot, GLaDOS from Portal Arm. That is the new Animus. Which, side note, I read an article today that I guess they're going to try to incorporate that version of the Animus in the video game now. Like any Assassin's Creed game moving forward. Anyway, that's
that's a whole different conversation.
But still, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it's just.
So we talked.
It's just bad. Like they have. First of all, one of my biggest pet peeves, and what have come to understand from some of the reviews, is they overcut it. Like they overcut the action scenes, which drives me fucking nuts.
Yeah. You just want to see them.
Another quick little shout out. Check out, there's a YouTube channel called Every Frame a Painting. This guy basically dissects different parts of movies and like directors, and one of the things that he does is he talks about Jackie Chan and how Jackie Chan does action movies and how he choreographs them, and how like there's not the amount of cutting that you see in Western films. And basically, like, that's what I'm hearing is like one of the biggest flaws is like, it's the kind of movie where it's like there's a scene and it's like cut to this angle, cut to this angle, cut to this angle. You know,
Yeah.
he goes to punch, and before you even see it actually connect and feel like the weight of that punch, it's cutting. It's cutting to the point where it's like he gets here, you know, and then the camera cuts, and now you're seeing him already get hit. So
Right. You missed the impact.
You know, it's also rated PG-13, and like anybody that knows an Assassin's Creed game, like they're pretty violent. I mean, they're all mature rated. You know, that definitely
Very
feels
violent.
like a movie that could have benefited, you know, from a more graphic, you know, tone. And I mean, like Assassin's Creed to me has always more felt like an adult video game. Anyway, it's got kind of higher concept, you know, of things going on, and it kind of tackles like, you know, these like weighted sort of historical things that are happening, and
Right.
it's just a fucking bummer. Like, really, all we're talking about now is just another fucking failed video game movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and there were a lot of high hopes for it, and it was.
Absolutely.
I mean, even I wanted it to be good. I didn't. I don't think I said I thought it would be good. Maybe we'll have to go to the tape.
Check the tape, check the replay.
So yeah, you all can go back to episode 3 or whatever and tell me that I'm an idiot and I said that I thought it would be good. But when we talked a lot about too back then, apparently a lot of the time was spent not in the past. It was spent early on, and so I wonder if, you know, maybe they just didn't handle that, you know, properly. Not that, you know, and I know I argued that spending, you know, they were going to spend too much time in the present day, and I think you guys made some good points about why that would be better to do it that way, to, you know, kind of set things up for, you know, future movies. But maybe they just didn't give the right information or the right amount of information. And if they're kind of jumping around and you're kind of like, well, why did you just do that? And why did this just like, you know, if the movie starts with he dies and the animus, or not animus, but the machine, you know, or whoever brings him back to life, well, why is he dead? Why, you know, like,
Yeah, why is he dead?
you know,
Why
when,
is he being,
did
we
you
know
or
why he's
did you
being
answer
brought
that question
backwards.
like randomly later on, but you didn't really like talk about why, you know, or did it not fit in? And it seems like that happens a lot with video game movies, because video games are so expansive with their story, because you play them for, you know, 60 hours or whatever, 30 hours, whatever it is. Even if it's 10 hours, you can put so much story into a 10-hour video game that you can't put into a 90-minute movie. And it's hard to keep up with that, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just, you know, I know, like, you know, they've been making movies based off books, and, you know, they're not perfect, but I feel like, you know, like things like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, you know, have come pretty close to getting, you know, a pretty solid movie. You know, you only have 2 hours, you know, to fit almost like,
Sure.
you know, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pages. So, like, I feel like it's absolutely possible to make a good video game movie. I just don't know. You know, it's like superhero movies, right? You go back to, like, the 90s and 2000s, you got shit like Daredevil, and it was just, like, these cash cow movies. Throw Ben Affleck, throw any big, you know, name, you know, actor at the time. Don't really give two shits about it. Throw it out there. People see it. You sell toys. You sell movie tickets. And then after a while, they're like, actually, maybe we should actually try to, like, make a good one. And then you got things like, you know, X-Men and Spider-Man 2 and Iron Man. And, like, I feel like they just need that, you know, for video game movies. It'd be like somebody, like, needs to be like, all right, like, I love video game. You know, someone that I think is totally could pull off a video game movies like Guillermo del Toro. He has very close connections to the video game industry. You know, he's buddies with Hideo Kojima. You know, he's a brilliant filmmaker, in my opinion. He's got, I mean, his creativity and his vision's unmatched in a lot of ways. Things like, you know, Mama and The Orphanage and Pan's Labyrinth. Like, I feel like now if somebody like that was like, okay, everybody wants a Bioshock movie, I'm gonna make a fucking Bioshock movie. I think that would be wonderful. But it needs to take somebody taking it really seriously, and that's why I thought, like, when I saw the trailers for this, I was like, oh my god, they have these A-listers, this is a great director, this is a beloved franchise, like, they're taking it seriously, and then apparently fucking not. Apparently it's a fucking garbage pile. So
you brought up books into the movies, and the difference, I think part of this difference, at least with this particular movie,
by the way, he's
is
totally showing Mario Brothers right now.
excellence.
Another good video game movie.
What a great movie.
Dennis Hopper with cornrows. Enough said. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So, well, you said books into movies, and so I think part of the problem might have been too, and with some video game movies, is they tried to create a new story.
Mm-hmm.
And books, they're recreating the same story that's already been written. So there's already gold there, and they're just polishing it up, and they're melting down the brick, and they're turning it into a statue. And so with a book to a movie, and the video game creators don't really do that. They all want to do their own thing or have their own twists, and you're losing what makes that game so good. And in some cases, it might be the fact that you get to be that person. What makes Assassin's Creed awesome is I get to jump off the church tower and dive, do the eagle dive or whatever into the bale of hay. That was what was so cool about us playing Assassin's Creed 1.
Right.
Was climbing up, this free climbing, and then getting to jump off and stab somebody in the throat. You don't get that in a video game. Especially if they started with him not in the Animus.
Right.
And, or not in that world. They started with him dead on the ground, and you're connecting to a character that's not the character, not the assassin.
Yeah.
So, like, who's your favorite character in the Assassin's games? Ezio.
Right.
Or Altador, or whoever. Nobody cares about, Desmond.
Right.
We all hate Desmond. I don't know if that's true, but we love Ezio.
The whole Desmond thing after Assassin's Creed 3 just got too weird, and that's like kind of like almost like the biggest problem with Assassin's Creed is that story just got like way too fucking weird. It was like I feel like it was like True Blood. I used to like be super into True Blood, and then like people were starting to be like fairies and shit, and I'm like pass. Like whatever. I liked when it was just werewolves and vampires. Anyway, it's still a bummer. Like I don't think this is I don't think this is the end for video game movies, but I don't know, like, people might, if you can't pull it off with 3 Oscar bait actors, like, I don't know if you can pull it off. And also, I think it definitely...
I think it's bad story.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of credence to what you're saying. Like, part of the fun of that game is what you're doing. Now, if you took something like... The Last of Us movie out of it, I feel like you're getting closer because The Last of Us gameplay is pretty good, but that story is incredible. I mean, like that story. Even like Mafia 3, whose like gameplay is kind of fucking small, right. But that story so far is like really great. I feel like that could lend itself to a wonderful movie.
So I think that's a good point. And I know we need to wrap up this topic, but. I feel like they're picking the wrong games. So BioShock maybe isn't the right one, but I think it's in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think Uncharted is really in the right direction because there's nothing in Uncharted, for me at least, that says, man, I just want to be Drake. It's cool, like BioShock. BioShock's cool because I get to choose plasmids and I get to, like, determine how I want to win this fight.
Right. It's also got a wonderful setting, at least the first one.
Right, and that would overcome some of the playability, issues where you don't get to actually make these choices. But with like Uncharted, which I know they're trying to make, it's a mostly story-driven game. It's not about your decisions as Drake. Negative. It's super linear, and so to make a movie out of that might work because it's 90% story and 10% gameplay.
Yeah.
The gameplay is very good, and it's very well done, but it's, the story and what you're doing is what's important.
We'll have to wait and see. I know, like you said, Uncharted is in the works. BioShock, I believe, is in the works. Mass Effect's in the works. There are definitely video games in the works. I mean, we're still not there yet. I mean, Warcraft wasn't great. This is not great. We'll just have to wait and see. Nintendo.
Speaking of Mario Brothers.
Remember those guys?
It's time. It's time for.
So there is a
time for Tamagotchi.
Yeah,
it's your weekly dose of Tamagotchi.
Getting it queued up, getting it ready. There it is.
Yeah.
There she blows. So they have a little game called Eternal Darkness. Came out for the Nintendo GameCube, and I would call it a cult classic. I don't
Yeah.
think it was like commercially well received. Critically, it did pretty well.
Yep.
And I mean, I beat it. I love it. Did you beat it? Did you beat it?
It's not one that I ever played. I owned a GameCube for a short time, but I ended up getting rid of it.
It was just really cool, and actually, it's kind of speaking of Assassin's Creed. You get to like, I don't quite remember, but you actually got to play through like a few different time periods. Was it your ancestors or something? Or no, you were the main. No, you played different people. I don't remember why. Like I said, it's been a long time since I beat it.
Not important.
Time periods, but like what made the game so cool is you had like a sanity meter. Like depending on how much you got attacked or how much like shit was just by you, you'd like start losing your mind and like crazy shit would happen. Sort of like Psycho Mantis style, from Metal Gear Solid, where he starts fucking with you and telling you what games you played, and it's like it'll seem like the game broke, or like it'll seem like you did.
Yeah, well, and that's so what I know about the game. That's my favorite part right there is that it completely broke the fourth wall, where like the game would the screen would go black and you're like, oh, did my game freeze? What happened? And then after a few seconds, before a reasonable person would just go turn it off. Right. It would like show you it would restart, and then it would tell you your game was corrupt, and you're like, oh man, you're getting all upset or whatever, and then it would like flip back to the game, and you're like, what just happened? Mm-hmm. Like, was that my system? Was that the game? Like, okay, and then it's so the sanity meter, like your own sanity meter, is like slowly climbing, trying to figure out if my system's possessed and what's going on. So not knowing that about that game and having it happen, like to me that is absolutely genius. I really can't believe that it maybe didn't take off as more than it did. Well, I guess maybe just because it was a horror game.
I think it was, so it was a horror game, which is not typically helping you be a AAA game. I mean, most AAA games besides maybe Resident Evil.
Right, yeah. If you're a horror game and your name is not Resident Evil, you're not going to get huge.
Dead Space did pretty good, but like, you're not gonna break the bank. But anyway, so that game that we're talking about, that wonderfulness, Nintendo has filed a trademark for it, and they just did that on December 20th, 6 days ago. That's all we know, but I imagine that we might be seeing it now. The only hiccup I could think of, which is actually our producer brought up earlier, was that's actually a Silicon Knights based property, but that's also just the developer, I believe. So I'm sure when Silicon Knights went under, that property went up for grabs.
But we're pushing copyright. We're pushing copyright time limits too, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it's something that I feel like a lot of fans would be very happy to see. I imagine it's not going to be something on the Wii U. I imagine it's going to be the Switch. Since the Switch is slowly turning into the system that you can play all your old favorite games on, like Skyrim. Speaking of Switch, little rumor, but I think it's turning out to be pretty accurate. Has it that when that is not docked, that it is much slower. It runs much slower. Like we're talking when it's just a little screen. And I don't know. Like there's the old saying that there's no bad press. But I feel like there is.
That's bad press.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of. I feel like.
Well, that's not. It's not guaranteed bad press because it depends on. It depends on why it's run slower.
I mean I don't know why, but I don't care if it does. It does, and that's not cool. Like the thing is like no one seems like that jazzed about the Switch right now. Like. Out of everybody, I've plenty of gamer friends, and out of everybody that I've ever talked to, there's only one person that's like pretty excited about it. Everybody else is, no one's really like, oh, it looks fucking stupid, but most people are like, I don't really know what to think.
How do you get excited for something you don't know anything about?
I mean, but the thing is, like, we kind of know a lot about it. Like, we know what it is, we know what it does. We've seen multiple games on it. They have that other new game that they showed the trailer for recently. I forget what it's called.
So, but saying we know what it is and we know what it does, it's like saying, okay, the PlayStation 4 is plays video games.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Ah! Okay, it plays video games. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it's capable of doing. I have no idea. Like, I know that there's controllers that come off. But I don't know what their functionality with motion and, can you use one of them? Do you use both of them? Is one like a nunchuck? What's the functionality of that? There's a lot of questions that are unanswered.
It's like, God damn it, Nintendo! Like,
right?
Put your fucking controllers together.
On January 12th, they could announce a whole bunch of stuff, and we could all go crazy, and we could all want to buy one right away. We don't know. I don't expect that, but it's hard to get excited for something you don't know about, which is why we don't understand what Nintendo is doing. Like, you're crazy. You're not telling us anything. You're just hoping that the hype of the name Nintendo and everything you showed about Zelda is going to sell you consoles.
But see,
it is.
Yeah.
But it's not enough.
I kind of feel like this only applies to Nintendo, though. Like, if when they were like, "Hey, we're gonna talk about the PS4 in a month," I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a PS4." I had never seen it. I didn't even back then I think it was the Neo. No, that was what was the PS4 called? Whatever code name was for it.
PS4.
Then, yeah. Well, it's just, the thing is, like, that was like I knew nothing. Was it the Neo? The Pro? No. Oh, the Neo was the Pro. Anyway,
yeah,
that's not Pro. My point is, it's like, before I knew anything about that, I was like, I'm gonna get a PS4. And even right now, like they're like I know that I don't want the Xbox Scorpio. I probably don't want the Xbox Scorpio, but that's because I'm not a big Halo guy, I'm not a big Gears guy, but like I know in my head that's probably a really good console. Because I know the Xbox One is a good console. And it's like, but when we're talking about Nintendo, it's like, I don't know, like, because they're fucking wild cards.
But I have a question for you, though, because when the PS4 came out, was announced, you knew you would get it because PlayStation has a history.
Yeah.
But when the PS4 Pro was announced, you didn't know you were going to get it because you didn't know anything about it. So Nintendo doesn't, to me, sell consoles on history. Nintendo sells consoles on innovation. They sold Wii's because of motion. They didn't sell Wii U's because it didn't do anything new.
And they attached no games to it because it came with Wii Sports, and that's all anybody ever needed.
And they handled production well, and it sold like crazy. And so, they played that game and they drove demand up. But so if the Wii, we don't know if the Switch does anything innovative yet. For sure. I mean, we know that it is a console that comes out, and so they've shown us a little bit of their innovation, but we don't know a whole lot about it. Like, do you take it out of the dock and it just sucks? If that's the case, then no one's going to buy it. You're right.
We certainly don't know a lot of, like, the hardcore details about it. Like, we know what it is. We know it. There's not, like, it's not like, Captain America Civil War, where, like, we finally get to see Giant Man. It's like some hidden feature that Ant-Man turns into Giant Man, and everyone's like, whoa, that's like a mind-blowing thing that he does. I didn't know. I thought he just turned small. It's not like they're going to be like, so this is the Switch, guys. And then also, they just, like, press a button and it morphs into, like, a rocket launcher. Like, we know what it does. It's a fucking 3DS that plugs into, like, a little box that becomes a regular console. Like, I don't think there's going to be, like, some riveting hidden
So here's
feature.
a question. Another question. Full of questions tonight. What if the game that slows down is Zelda because Zelda needs the boost from, like, the dock gives a boost, and there will be games that you can only really play well in the dock because they need that graphics boost and the computing power boost. But then you can still kind of take it on the go. It's still like a 3DS. It still plays like Pokemon and whatever, could play a smaller scale RPG really well. Skyrim and all these old games that, apparently they're going to put
all your favorites. Skyrim, Eternal Darkness.
So that would be, to me, from what you're saying, that would be a huge, like, surprise. Be like, oh, well, that's not necessarily what we thought it was going to be. That's cool. If there's going to be a big boost for having it in the dock, that might be cool for some people. In the end, I don't know. That's not a thought that I've necessarily fully processed. But there's things they can. My point is, there's things they can announce that we don't know whether it's gonna you're going to want to get one yet because we don't know anything about it. And I come back to the PS4 Pro. Like, we were like, well, it's PS4 Pro. It's got a bigger hard drive and a better processor. Is it going to be great? And then they gave us all the details, and both of you went and got one basically right away.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I knew I was going to get the Pro. Like, I knew I was going to get the Pro. But that's also because I will, in your defense and in the defense of your argument, it's also because I'm so willing to get a PlayStation console because of the games. I love the games that come out on PlayStation, like the exclusives that come out on PlayStation consoles.
Right.
It just, that's part of it.
We can use the Xbox One as an example. It's, it's the same thing. You might be willing to get one if they announce the right things, but we still, at this point we know pretty much everything about it. But
yeah, and the Switch, it's one of those things, like you said, we don't know as much, but it also depends on how you look at it. Like, you could optimistically phrase it and say, yeah, when you put the handheld in the dock, you're getting a boost. But you could also pessimistically phrase it, but when you take it out of the dock, you're getting downgraded. Like, it really depends,
it's the way you look at
what it is.
It's what you're going to use it for.
I certainly am not knocking Nintendo. Like, there is no now without Nintendo. Like, they are literally why we are here and how we got here. So, like, yeah, they have been built on innovation. But I do think there is something to be said about a lot of this applying to Nintendo more than I would say it would apply to a Microsoft console or a Sony console. I feel like you're at least in the sense where, like, you kind of know what you're going to get. Like, I feel like the Xbox One Scorpio, or whatever it is, Xbox Scorpio, is probably pretty much the same thing as an Xbox One, just way more powerful. Whereas the Switch is like, this is nothing like the fucking Wii U, which was really not a whole lot like the Wii, which was definitely not like the fucking GameCube. So it's like, you get like almost a new thing every single time. I mean, it's exciting, but it's also, there's got to be skepticism with it.
Yeah. Well, which is why it's crazy that they're announcing less than 2 months before they release the console what it does.
That is so weird.
And that's why I'm saying we don't know what it is yet. Yeah. We don't, there's a lot of questions that aren't answered.
So, any final thoughts on that?
No, Nintendo's crazy, but they still print money, so it doesn't matter. They don't care.
We're going to be getting out of here in a minute, but I just want to have a final update. It's our Final Fantasy update.
Every week.
You have a little less to say about it because of some great reasons.
No,
so I can't argue with you because it's not a bad reason.
I have a lot to say during the Final Fantasy update. Now, the Final Fantasy 15 update is a little light. I'm a little light on the Final Fantasy 15 update.
Yes, so he, our wonderful co-host here, has been taking plenty of time playing Final Fantasy 14. I blame myself because we were all Jet Set Radio to get going on fucking Star Wars next month, and I was like, why don't we just play 14? Most of us already have it. We put some time in, we love it, and then you jumped the gun and you started playing it, and you're addicted. And I can't be mad at you.
I can't help it.
Final Fantasy 14.
I can't help it.
In my opinion, the best MMO ever created, and one of the best games ever created. But before we get to that, I do want to mention I did beat Final Fantasy 15. Thank you. Me and our executive producer have played the game. It has a wonderful ending, obviously, which I will not talk about.
I would literally come there and kill you.
As long as we can play a game afterwards, I'm cool with that. I'd love to hang out.
Yeah, well, of course. No, we totally play 14 after that.
Yeah. So I beat it. It was wonderful. It took me about 45 hours. That's also with
You did a lot of side stuff.
What's that?
You did a lot of side stuff prior to the ending.
I did a substantial amount of side quests. I didn't do all of them. And the nice thing about the game is you can keep going after you do beat it. And there is actually, not only is there, you can continue to do the stuff that was already there. There's actually new stuff that opens up, new dungeons, new areas, new quests, that open up once you beat it. So that's definitely, a game that has some legs on it.
I know there's a level 99 no items dungeon, so there's cool challenges that you can. The game's got a lot of depth.
Yep, and they just got the new Game Plus mode, which we talked about on the last show. So yeah, check it out. Eventually, our guy over here will beat it, and then you.
And I'll get there. Okay, so I'll give my quick Final Fantasy 15 update. I'm in Chapter 6. I did play 2 or 3 hours this weekend. And it's still good. I'm still enjoying it. It is starting to get a little more linear, like you said last week. Some more twists and some more storyline twists, here and there, finding out kind of who the new characters are. They're still introducing kind of the villains.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it still feels like it's at a good pace. So I'm going to try to ignore a little bit more side stuff, which is all I've done. Oh, you know what I did a lot? Actually, I spent like an hour doing Chocobo racing.
I didn't beat Gladio.
I spent. Oh, really?
I beat
There's like
Tonto and I didn't beat Gladio. I didn't
there's
like try
three
a lot.
more.
I tried a few times.
Yeah.
I couldn't beat him.
There's like 3 more after that. There's like you
beat
beat
all of them?
Gladio, and then there's like a balloon like singular like sort of obstacle course. Couldn't think of the word.
Okay.
Race, and then you beat Ignis, and then you can do like full team. Like all 6 people.
I would like to. I mean, I would like to play because I'm sure you can like unlock like a gold chocobo or like a black chocobo.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something.
Yeah.
You get medals. I think that like boost your chocobo's speed and stamina.
There's actually like there's just like a lot when it comes to just like chocobos too. Like there's more to the chocobo than just like riding it. Like it can actually fight. Like you can ride it into a battle and do attacks with it. Like that's why.
What level is your chocobo?
Huh?
What level is your chocobo?
7.
Okay, mine's 6, so I have most of.
EP's got 9.
I think 10's the max.
10's the max. That makes sense.
I think so.
It's good. It's good level it's good max level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great game. I loved it. I love that. I'm gonna continue to play it.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna focus on the story, and in the next couple weeks, I'll be done. So
and that's the thing. Like when the further you get into it, like once I got to like chapter like 8, 9, 10, maybe like really at that point it was maybe like 6 or 7 more hours because it's like you're just doing the story. So then it's like I mean they're even like 12, 13, 14-ish. Some of those like one of those chapters only took me like 20 minutes. Then another chapter might have only taken me like an hour or 2. So like once you take away those like side mission distractions, like you can really start firing through it. But before we go, let's talk a little bit about. We're not gonna get into too much because we are gonna. I'm sure we're gonna be talking about this quite a bit over the next few months.
Yeah, around that time.
You've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I
have
played a ton of Final Fantasy 14. We're not gonna really talk about that. We talked about that last week, but I do want to touch on the update or the coming out Storm.
New classes, new jobs.
2 new jobs, which I guess they're saying maybe there's even a 3rd. So we watched the video calculation on that, but I don't know that source, so I won't get too into that. But what we do know is we are.
It wasn't on Kotaku, so we can't trust it.
It was not Kotaku. We do have a red mage. Do you want to talk a little bit about a red mage? You might know more about it than I do.
I didn't. I heard about the class, or the job update, but I didn't really read a whole lot about it. I believe they're calling it a ranged DPS. But I feel like
they look cool. I can tell you that.
It's got to be some sort of hybrid class. It's a red mage. Red mages, the whole point is that they can kind of do more than just damage. That's kind of I feel like it's going to be like an upgraded conjurer or something like that. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it.
I'm getting real-time stats over here. So a red mage is a black mage, white mage, and a fencer, basically thrown into the same class. Which
I thought they didn't announce that officially. I thought that was just speculation. Traditionally.
Well, now hold on. Well, red mage has been around in Final Fantasy before. I mean, like that's
right. I know that. But this is in this game. It's
yeah,
they can certainly adjust that. They can do whatever they want.
Well,
so that's why I say. That's why I'm saying the range DPS doesn't fully make sense to me because it's so our EP Carlos is giving us some notes, and so it's black magic and white magic. So that's what I didn't say. It's black magic and white magic, and so you can't call it range DPS because he's going to have healing abilities. Is it going to be a mixed class? Is it going to be I don't know. From the speculation I've seen just on the red mage, because I don't think there's been a lot on the samurai yet, is that you're going to need a white mage and a black mage to get the red mage job, which would be these will be, if they're both like that, those will be the first ones where you need 2 jobs to create another job. It's usually the classes, like the lower level ones.
And then a job.
To create a job. You need multiple ones of those to get a job.
Yeah.
So...
Which I think
I wonder if this will... Yeah.
It just gives you more... I mean, that's what's great about the game, is you can do anything, anytime, and it just gives you more reasons to play. I mean, that game's replayability is off the charts. I mean that.
Oh, for sure.
You might argue, literally, and I mean this, that might be the most replayable game in the world that's ever existed. Because you can literally do
you level
anything.
every class to 60.
But apparently,
and then soon 70.
This is again from our EP. Traditionally, in Final Fantasy lore, the red mage is the black mage, white mage fencer combo, and it's very close to a battle mage playstyle. Which, shortly after my like typical rogue combo, I do love me a fucking battle mage.
And it could totally be a tank too, depending on how they want to mix in.
It's exciting, right?
Like it is. I am actually excited. Like it could be more of a ranged DPS or more of a like attack boost healer or something like that. It could be a tank. It could be a frontline tank that has a lot of self heal, self defense abilities. And infuses weapons and attacks with black magic or something like that. Like they could go so many directions with it, and that's really cool.
I'm looking at a picture of it that was pulled up. It's definitely got the fencer. He's kind of got like the arm back with like the sword out, kind of like that.
Oh, nice.
He's got
nice.
a little like hat with like the feather, like kind of looking like one of the Three Musketeers.
Red Mage is hands down my favorite mage. Like
out of all the colored
in Final
mages,
Fantasy. They're awesome. They're really
awesome.
Cool. Any thoughts on the samurai, real quick?
I don't know anything about it. I know it's not been featured prominently in Final Fantasy. I know it's been. I think it's only been maybe in one or two of the games. I mean, Auron. I think Auron's a samurai class.
I think he's a fencer, actually.
Auron from Final Fantasy X?
Yeah, like.
Oh.
It's not like a true fencer, but like. I don't know. Maybe not. Samurai fencer kind of thing.
I think he's probably a samurai. He's a fucking samurai. He's even like he looks like a Jedi. Anyway, we're excited about it.
That's a good point.
We're gonna keep playing it. It's one of we already talked about this earlier, and you and I can talk about this for a second. But it's like we said this was gonna be our January thing, but like it's gonna be like
a forever thing.
A forever thing.
Yeah. Now that I'm in, forever.
It gets you hooked, man.
Sure will.
So he pulled it up. Cyan from which one is that? From 6 is a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
So
they have samurai and tactics, and
yeah,
I think one of the 3 might have a samurai too. So it's a little bit of mix in, but it's not traditionally. Yeah, you're right. It's not traditionally a big part of Final Fantasy. So nice to see it make it in, and they could go a lot of different directions. That could just be melee DPS. That could be tank.
I imagine it'll probably either be DPS or a tank. I don't know. It might be a tank because I feel like
it's not going to be ranged.
Right. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I embarrassed you.
You're forgiven.
So, any final thoughts on that?
We talk forever, so no.
Final Fantasy 11. Oh, there's Samurai Final Fantasy 11 as well.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of stuff in 11.
A little bit. Anyway, so that is that is our show. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking more about 15 and 14. What? Did you have something?
Sorry. Finish your thought. Then I'll ask.
Yeah, I would love to talk about 15 anymore. I would like to do like at some point once you do beat it, maybe do like a full spoiler show.
We'll do a story. Yep.
But yeah,
so look out for that. Next couple of weeks, we'll do a full spoiler show.
And then keep an eye out for more 14 news. Also, next week we are going to be doing our isometric RPG, favorite isometric RPG, and also keep an eye out. We are going to have, I want to say probably within the next few days here, we're going to have our episode of the playlist up.
Yes. Hit them with the details on the playlist. What's playlist about?
It's going to be a cool show. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff. So we're going to be doing it monthly, once a month, and basically we're going to towards the end of the month. So this is the end of December. We're going to talk about a couple games, or whatever, a few games that we want to highlight that we played in December that were really great, and then kind of go through the releases for the next month and tell you whether we think it's going to be awesome, whether we think it's going to suck, whether we never fucking heard of it. It might be like, like one of those games like, it's going to be like, oh, it's fucking JoJo's Bizarre fucking Fairy Fencer.
What's that?
I'll be like, what the fuck is that? I kind of heard of that, but I don't really know. I'm probably not going to play it. Then our EP's going to be like, I already have it pre-ordered because you can sell those cool fucking games. And they are awesome. They're always fucking awesome. And like you think they'd be shit, but they're fucking awesome. Anyway, Yeah, check all that shit out. What did you had something you want to say? What did you want to say? That's what I fucking see right now.
No, I have nothing to say. You know what I have to say? Check out our website, checkpointmg.com. That is where you can get to our Patreon, to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything. Get to our merch store, buy one of those awesome t-shirt hoodies that Ryan is wearing. Also check out our Patreon directly at patreon.com/cpmg. If you like what we're doing, you can drop a little dough. And if you don't like what we're doing, you can drop us a little dough to leave a comment that says you hate us. We'll take it. We're not picky.
That's really why we want you to go there. That's it.
All right.
Keep an eye out
See
for
you guys
that
next
playlist.
week. Later. Bye.